everyone. Thanks again for tuning in to another Sip and Chat with the Gents team. Tonight we have an interesting topic that we'll be dealing with. Some may consider it taboo, but Gents is never afraid to deal with these topics. Right? So in tonight's episode, we discuss the possible harmful effects of porn consumption. Yes, you heard right. Tonight we'll be discussing the consumption of pornography and how it affects our relationship. Right, as always, we do a little research, and the research has shown us that pornographic images can have a powerful impact on a man's visual system. We always say men are visual animals or visual creatures. Watching porn brings a sudden rush of dopamine, that feel-good hormone, right, and lights up the brain regions that's connected to motivation. Right, an example was given about Kanye West consuming a lot of porn during his creative process, and we call him a genius musically, right? So something good happens with him there, right? It causes men to seek sexual release according to Men's Health. However, most male porn viewers tend to forget the fact that sex in real life is a lot different from the movie and the nice perfect actors and the nice lighting. This often leads them to have unrealistic expectations for their partner and become increasingly dissatisfied in their sexual relationship. Right, so let's get into it. Let us examine firstly, why do men watch pornography? So team, I had to throw you on the spot. Just by a quick show of hand, anybody here views or have viewed pornography at any point in time?
That would be me.
I like that, Rossi, right?
And I did mention it in the prior episode that we did.
Exactly.
I love sex, and I watch I ain't gonna say a lot of porn, but I watch some porn. It's not everyday thing. I don't see it as an addiction, but then again, no person addicted to something that say they're addicted.
Point. Good point.
But it's definitely not a everyday thing or every week thing for me.
But the main thing is why, Rossi? Why do you look at it? Yeah.
All right. It's enjoyable. I mean, it's sex. Who don't like sex?
Right.
But Rossi, quick question though. Do you watch it by yourself though?
By myself, with my wife. We watch it together sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes sets a different mood. Give a little change into the sex life aspect of our relationship. I don't see why not. Why not watch? Why you don't deprive yourself of that?
Agreed with you, right? So is it because, right, some of the questions, is it because they aren't having sex frequently and they watch porn to masturbate? Rossi, this may not be you, but generally some men, is it that they are living vicariously, living those fantasies that they aren't comfortable discussing with their wives or girlfriends? You may be, as they say, a vanilla sex person in bed, but you really have those wild fantasies that you wish you could, live out, so they live vicariously through porn.
Well, right? With somebody else, and I'll give a little talk about that again after.
All right.
Well,
that's all. Let me give a few more reasons. Maybe men, it might help some men to understand why they watch or used to watch. Right? Is it a case
let me
of
just
looking?
say one thing. Since Rossi called him out, or is it Keon you said by chance? Let me just make sure.
We can do anyone or not.
I no seen, buddy, no seen. All right. I won't lie. When I was younger, I watched a lot of porn. We didn't have cable back then. We didn't have you have nobody to give you any kind of guidance on stuff like that and thing. And I mean, it was like, wow. But the thing with porn though is that you forget that they are actors as well, and they do pause, get refreshments, and come back. So the first time I started to watch porn was most misleading because like, this is 2 hours long, this is 3 hours long, and I actually thought this is how long you're supposed to have sex for, and I was like, wow.
But Cleon, getting back to the question though, as a teenager, what was the inspiration behind? Was it just vice or just part of growing up, hormones raging? What it is really inspired you to want to look at it?
All of the above. I mean, you're a young teenager, you know, of course, you're going to school, everybody started to talk about sex and things. You have no experience in this, you know, on this topic. So what's your best teacher? You know, and the irony is at that point in time, internet was now coming to Trinidad and Tobago, and my father had a laptop. I remember that laptop well. It was a best friend of mine. And and he used to work late, and I would wait up just to use this laptop. And you know, back then it was a free for all. So once you type in anything, it was porn channel just popping up. So I was like, wow. And he never told me anything, you know. And one day I was by my aunt, and the topic came up on stuff like that, and he was like, boy, every time I go to work, I just have to clean my history because Cleon always, and this was me.
So I want to say I think the best teacher would have been experienced, like Leon, but at that age, you know, depending on how you were in terms of your ego and stuff like that, you would not have actually had access to, you know, the place and also a woman to have sex with. So I can see why it is, you know, as young males, we would have been led towards doing that. I just want to say also, like you as a teenager, you know, you're at that phase where you're inquisitive and you want to know, you know, more about these things and you're discovering yourself. And that's what would have led me into discovering, you know, pornography and watching it at that point in time. I think as I got older and I had more access to real sex, that you know, it kind of faded off and it became a whatever at that point in time, you know. So for me, it didn't that period of time didn't last long, like, you know, teenage years, and then it kind of faded away. So I guess that's my story with regards to why, you know.
All right.
Usual thing, you're young and almost rushing and.
But
yeah.
Having said that, were you ever scared or anything like that? Was that also a reason because you didn't know what to do, and that also prompted you to look at it, you know, as a teacher, something like that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely, yes.
All right. Some of the other reasons, they could be looking for a quick release instead of having to initiate with their partner. Wink, wink, married men, right? Or is it that they're just bored and it's part of their sexual routine or pattern before in a relationship? Bitch, I know they say married men, and I'm bringing in myself here as well. You know, how is it for us, or for you rather? Is it that since marriage, it's out of the equation? You know, feel free.
I haven't looked at porn since my teenage years. Part of the reason is because at that time, yes, you were curious, but it had a different effect on me in that like, for instance, we got cable when I was like 14, 15. So you'd get to see the X-rated late night shows on Cinemax and shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the Red Shoe Diaries, those shows. But the thing is, the same feeling of the dopamine and the rush, it stayed with you, and it stayed with me, and it's not something I was comfortable with. You couldn't sleep, and it's not something that I was entirely comfortable with. In addition to that, I think about, this was when I turned about 18. This movie came out, Boogie Nights. And the storyline, which was about a guy who was well endowed, and he was exploited for being well endowed. It ended up that he was being used, and he understood that he was being used to the point that he didn't want to, when you actually open the whole underbelly of what the porn industry was, and that it was exploitative and that kind of thing, to me it put a frame in my mind that this is not real. This is exploiting people. So from an early age, I didn't really get into porn as much. So from that age, like 18, 19, I just put it away. What I learned or what I saw, keep in my head, use it as experience when the time comes. And with my partner in marriage, even in marriage, I don't even reference porn. It's basically you and your partner, you're learning new things.
You're discovering each other.
You're discovering each other, yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a similar, not too similar, but I, in my teenage years as well, of course, I wanted to clear now before cable and stuff, so I had, you got a little VHS. You wait till nobody home and you stick in the VHS. You know the scene now will make you, hit your point so you fast forward. No, but seriously, now in marriage now my wife is not into porn at all. I remember very early in the relationship, I'm thinking, all right, stick in the VHS. Build the mood. Man, this girl started dissect. So that's the best she could come in here and start to watch her. Talk about a mood killer. Mood killer. And boy, since marriage, I mean, no need. I just like beach. I guess when you're married, perhaps, I don't know. Some people still use it to get off. But the thing is, porn seems to create a bit of an unrealistic expectation. Could we get into that a little bit? Beach, you would have mentioned the man who was well endowed. That's one of the first things you'll see. Men in porn, they're always fit, buff, large penises. The women, beautiful vaginas. Now, when you've seen vaginas, not all vaginas look the same. But you see beautiful vaginas, you see beautiful breasts, lovely shape. Right? That's just some of the attitudes and behaviors exhibited in the movies. So let's get into that a bit. So what are some of the unrealistic expectations you all think? Tion, you have a kind of analytical mind. From what you see in porn, what are some of the unrealistic expectations that you think some people may develop from viewing porn, if that's their first introduction to how sex should be or the sexual act?
Well, actually, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that all women have, a particular type of skin. All of them are supposed to look a particular way. The same thing for men, as a woman that may be looking at porn, they may be expecting all men to be a certain length, have a certain, shaved, buff, and that might lead their mind as to what they were looking for. And then when they end up in a situation where they're in a relationship, then that is not being delivered and it causes problems. So off the top of my mind, the physical expectations of what a man or a woman should look like is the first thing that comes to mind.
Exactly.
You know what porn did to me at a young age? I wanted to be a pizza guy.
Who knows?
I wanted to be a pizza guy.
What does it deliver pizza, Rossi?
A fix it guy, you make a phone call, hey, I'm a pipe busted, come and fix it, and I show up.
The plumber come to fix it.
That would have been the time before I were meeting women and discussing and learning women. And then, as maturity came and wisdom came, I was like, nah, that's not how it has happened. So
yeah, it's not that easy. Yeah.
Correct. So like
in
the porn industry, where the setter skit where the man just show up and he get through in life. It's about 2 or 3 women waiting for him. Or she would be submissive to him. It's not like that in real life. In real life,
and that's the thing.
Get to know them.
And that's the thing, because in terms of the ease of which sex comes in a porn, in a movie or in a fantasy like that, it gives men the impression that you could get sex just as easily in real life. And in a sense, it contributes to the aggression that some men get when they're rejected or when they think they should get once they advance to somebody, or once they show up to somebody's house to do something, they're expectant of sex, when in reality it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, or as the example Aaron used last week in the last episode, you go to do the laundry and it's just you and the other lady doing laundry. Then next thing you know, You're on top the dry again, son.
One and one become two.
Right?
But,
Unrealistic
guys,
expectations. Go ahead, Pian. Go ahead.
But guys, quick question though, because it happened to me once. You all ever had a partner who was really into porn? I mean, like, she loved it, and I mean, you like it, you're okay with it, but then she really excited by this, and then you're watching this episode, the things she enjoyed doing, and you're like, do I live up to this? Do I disappoint her? Because I have never met a woman who, while in the relationship, told you that you weren't adequate. After the relationship, though, well, things tend to go a little different. But
Like a small tool.
but while in the relationship, and she's really caught up with it, and you there watching her really enjoying these people, doing what they're doing and stuff. You ever had that experience? And if yes, was it a turn off for you?
Clay, and I think that's where communication comes in relationships. Because even though she may enjoy that aspect of pornography, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an expectation from her mate. It could just be, certain people have fantasies, they have certain things that they like to submit themselves into, understanding that this may not be reality. So that's where conversation comes in, where it's like, do you expect this from me? Is this something that I'm supposed to live up to? So that way now you have the conversation, so you're aware of who she is, what she expects from you, and what you have to do, I guess, to satisfy her desires.
Yeah, communication is key. You were spot on.
Effective communication is key.
Effective communication. When does it become an addiction, pornography? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Do we think one could become addicted to porn?
Why you calling me out on this, bro? I never said I was addicted. At least I don't think I'm addicted. It's not something that I need to get by. Like, to me, to be addicted to something is when you need it. You have to get it. And when you don't get it, it's have withdrawals, it's have it's be angry, it's be upset. It's not like that for me. It's not something I have to do. I don't think it's an addiction for me.
Yeah. I think they're only calling on you, Rusty, because you're openly expressing one of the episodes that I mean, you do look at porn.
It's not something that I'm ashamed of, you see. At the end of the day, it's not something I'm ashamed of.
And nothing is wrong with it.
How I started off with porn, it was, as you always saying earlier, was as teenagers growing up. He was introduced to me. It was by, me and my cousins, we spending vacation time together, and my elder cousin would be like, hey, come on, check this out. And that's how porn started for me. And me following it up now was because I started to meet girls, I wanted to have sex, and I didn't have a father who spoke to me about sex. So, it has some fathers who would sit down with their sons or their daughters and say, this is what happens, this is what you do. I never had sex education in school either. So I therefore turned to porn, and that is where I learned what takes place, what happens. Now, at that point of time, I would have looked into the fantasy world, but as I said earlier, as I started to meet women and talk and found out more about them and learn them, that's where I actually learned what I needed to do to satisfy a woman.
All right, so we're talking about addiction. One of the things I would have noticed, and Cleon, maybe as an IT man, you could come in here as well. A lot of people, and I would think this borders on addiction, they're going out of their way, right? Out of their normal responsibility to watch porn. So even on the work site, on their computer, they have on their hard drive, the IT men would know. When you go on their hard drive, it's folders upon folders of porn. Instead of doing the company's work, they're there watching porn with their headphones on, and you think they're looking real industrious when they're being industrious about things not company related. I think that's addiction.
You're most correct, Chef. Where I previously worked, they actually let go a guy because of that. He spent every single day, he was actually watching porn on the job. And, due to that, they had to let him go. So it was definitely an addiction on his part. And the type of sites he was visiting as well, it was a little concerning. But But yes, I do understand that it would have people who are addicted because it had times, when they required him to do certain things, and he would say he's in a meeting, and then only to realize that he's actually sitting down in his office watching porn. So it became so consuming for him, like it was a need that he had to fulfill every day, that it actually started to affect his work. And then of course it led to his termination, which was most sad to see him go. But it is something that happens, and we may have other friends who may be going through this right now as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely it's safe to say that people can get addicted. I mean, if it is that you're warned or you're spoken about your behavior and you still persist, then we have to admit that definitely it's an addiction.
But it's
right?
not.
Go ahead, B.
But it doesn't only affect your working life, it also can affect your home life. So for instance, if you stay up all night to watch porn,
mm-hmm.
you can't function during the next day. You can't fulfill your responsibilities. You might go to work late. You might be sleeping on your job. Or when you reach back home, you just want to sleep and get up to watch porn again. You're staying up all night. You're not taking care of your family responsibilities. You're forgetting tasks that you have to do at home. Little things. And that is where addiction actually sets in. It's not only for substances, but it could be for things that give you a stimulus or enhances your stimulus.
Correct.
Or gives you that kind of rush. And people tend to think that addiction only occurs with substances like drugs and alcohol, and really don't think about the effects of pornography on people, or even that they sit down, they're viewing just to get off, and they're doing that until you literally just can't make.
But I mean, when we put it in that light, I mean, it sounds really terrible, eh? But can we consider porn as just a healthy expression of sexuality, right?
Yeah.
So it is said pornography is healthily encouraged in order to help people discover what pleases them sexually, no matter how graphic or violent the material is. So is it just a healthy expression of sexuality?
Well, it really depends on how much, Chef, you understand? Just like with anything else, as Anthony said, we do sip and chat, we encourage a nice little sit down, have a drink. That's not an issue. But if we are having 10, 20, 30 every day, then it becomes an issue. And porn is the same thing. You have to know when to draw the line. You must have a limit. And, and for example, for your partner now, if it is that you are spending so much time watching porn and masturbating that by the time, she's ready for you can't perform, then that becomes a serious issue as well. So it's something that could really hamper your relationship.
Exactly. Rossi, you were about to say something
While
here.
it could hamper your relationship in that aspect, it could also help your relationship. And this is one of the ways I use porn. Not every time I want to have sex, my wife want to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Therefore, I would view porn and I would masturbate. No shame in it. I don't know. At the end of the day, men need to know no is no. And I don't want to I prefer being known as a guy who does masturbate to porn than a guy who rape. You understand? I definitely ain't going down that line. At all.
And Rossi, you bring us exactly to something we always have on here at Those Gents, toxic masculinity. You see where it said there? Big respect for that, right? So could we tie in as well pornography and toxic masculinity? Is there a correlation, right? Because some would say porn objectifies women, it messes with the expectation of sex, it diminishes your self-confidence, etc. And as you said there, Rossi, in some relationships, the man might view his porn, he get off and he hype and he ready, and his partner isn't ready, and you may find he may approach her in a toxic way, as we always discuss. Right? So I don't know if anybody want to touch on that for a little bit. Right? Is toxic masculinity and porn and the relation between the two?
I think the point that was made earlier on with regards to the aggression that men would go at a woman with, because they assume that it's as easy as the movie. That is where the toxic masculinity would come in, because men have this expectation that they own women, that that's mine, and when I want it I can get it. Mixed up with the fact that they just watch a video where a man just went in and get some, just so no effort. So to me, that's where it would come in. Yeah.
What I've also seen recently is the aggression displayed in the porn, like the gagging. Now apparently you can't just give a man pleasurable oral sex again. You must gag. To me, every clip now with oral sex shows these kind of things. The choking, and I mean, we are guys on the ground, we hear it. A lot of women now, into choking, and the sadomasochism, who want licked. I mean, you might see a woman getting a little slap and think it's okay, and go somewhere else, But is that really the reality?
Yeah, but then again, you see it, and come back to the communication aspect.
That's what I was about to say. The communication there comes in highly. You definitely need the effective communication, because as I said earlier, I had no one to teach me about sex, and I learned through watching porn. How I transferred that into relationships was by communicating with my sexual partner at the time, or with my wife now, and we would try things. And that's how we know, hey, well, we like this, we don't like this, because we communicated about it. I didn't just throw it on her, hey, well, let me do this. We look at it and we had a discussion about it. You think we could try this? You think we could try that? So it's definitely about communication and consent from your partner with doing these kind of things. You can't
definitely. Rusty, I wanna ask a question here, and I guess probably anybody else who's married and in that situation. Have you ever had to hide at any point in time because you felt guilty for watching porn?
Crickets. Married men, beach. I'll answer the question. Pioneer, knowing that my wife isn't into it at all. Yes, there would have been times I would have, she's asleep. A little antsy. I may have gone off and click a link and watch a clip or two, but it's very rare. But I would definitely feel guilty knowing that my partner isn't into that. But if someone else's partner is into it, of course, nothing to feel guilty about, unless they see it as some form of cheating. You're getting off without me, getting excited without me. Again, communication. I don't know what the other guys think.
And some women might actually get jealous of that. They'll be like, so you need porn to when I'm not wrong, you need to porn, you can't wait. That is our next aspect we could look at. Some women may take that as an offense. So again, communication.
But to answer the question, Rusty, have you ever had went off and in a separate room or hide or?
In the early of the relationship, I did. And then again, communication. I didn't feel guilty, because at the end of the day, I still stick to the fact I don't mind being called a masturbator than a rapist. So, when my partner at that time wouldn't want to have sex, I would go and handle my business with a little porn on the side. No doubt about that. And then I would have discussed it, and it was a norm.
You discussed it before or after she caught you?
No, I was never caught. I was never caught. I must say I was sly with it. What about you, Beach? You had any instances like that?
Actually, no. As I said, I haven't watched porn. I don't really indulge in it. So if I haven't had to go and sneak off anywhere to get off or to watch something and then be ashamed that, or be afraid that I would get caught. But like I said, in many cases, if there are things that we want to try, we would communicate it with one another. There are some things, for instance, if I know there are people who may want to try things and their partner might shame them because they may think that you have a kink or I have a kink, and they don't like it. And they may feel ashamed that, well, they don't want to try this, so let me not talk to them about it. But then again, it comes back to communication where unless you talk to your partner about it, you would not know what they like or if they're willing to go along with it with you.
But guys, having said that, has social media ever been an issue? And when I say that, like on WhatsApp, we have our group. In several other groups, it has certain instances where I turn on my phone and I have videos that I didn't even know were there. You know, so were you ever in a situation like that where, you know, you have certain pornographic videos on your phone, laptop, you know, tablet, any other type of device, and it causes a problem? You know, the wife may have an issue with it, your child pick up your phone to use it and accidentally saw something, you know, anything like that ever occurred?
I am very cautious where that is concerned. Like you, I'm in other groups, and you know, people feel free to share anything and everything, depending on the groups that you're in. So, and because of having my son has access to my tablets and all of that, I ensure that there's nothing like that being downloaded. Every now and again, I would go through to see if anything slipped through the cracks. You know, so for me, it's very important from that perspective that I don't end up in that situation. So I'm always looking to make sure that, you know, my stuff is legit.
Same with me.
Yeah, I think I learned early on those groups that have it. There's a setting where you put the media on private. Yeah, so if by chance something should pop in, it would go straight. So it wouldn't be in the gallery then. So if one of my kids should pick up the phone or something, it wouldn't be readily available. Right, I'm watching the time, guys. I know we say we wouldn't be too long on this topic. Right, so just before we move on, I just want to we agree that porn, you know, that healthy porn consumption can be a normal practice once a foundation of communication is established. Everybody mentioned communication is key. And I just want
or more or less communication in terms of sexual desire, or communications in terms of what you expect from your partner sexually. So it doesn't necessarily have to be porn. It can also be where you and your partner discuss what you all expect from one another sexually, or what you're looking to explore. So porn might be a part of it, but it doesn't have to be the whole thing.
Brilliant. Well said. Well said, B.
What we must also note is that not all women likes or want the same thing. So therefore, again, the communication, as Beach saying, is very important. With Jane go like, Jane might not like. So you can't use your old moves on Jane and think it go work with Jane. You understand? So you definitely need to communicate with your partner.
So Rassi, if Jane don't like what Janet like, right? Do you go back to the porn to reference new material?
Yeah, reading and watching porn, and again talking with friends. You discover new things. For me, at least, that's how it is.
Okay. So what about Janet teaching you what she like as opposed to?
And that is also another option, and that's where the communication comes in, and it is key.
Right. So we don't necessarily have to depend on porn.
Definitely, no, you don't.
Right, communication with your partner is key. We underlining that, we underscoring that.
Yeah, that's the first option.
Okay, we spoke about the ideals and the sexy body woman, buff men, etc. But nowadays, porn comes in categories. So whatever is your fetish, these categories are available. Right? I've seen BBW for the guys that love the big woman. There's Asian, ebony, even mature. And well, as Cleon well I've mentioned, there's even bestiality, LGBT, anything, any which way you go, there's a category available for that. Have we gone too far?
I guess remember, and I think that's something we didn't touch on. It's an industry, it's a money making industry, and I think the reason why you would have all those different categories is because they cater for everybody, you know.
Anime, Keon? Anime
People
porn.
have their
Cartoon
vices.
See, everybody have a different vice.
Watch when
You-
anime
Chef,
porn, I was
so
like,
you a carrot man, right? You like carrot.
mm,
And Cleon is a man like Stag. Well, you have all your preference,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I think you meant to say Chef has no taste, but it's all right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but Chef,
which
Chef,
brewery makes Stag again?
No, but Chef.
Answer the
Chef.
question, Sam. Which brewery makes Stag?
Right, so they did something correct. But we straight from the point, Chef. But Chef, again, it really boils down to personal preference and choice.
Yeah.
You understand? Because everybody have their own fetish, everybody have their own taste. And you just have to respect that. And if it's not for you, like Anthony, you just stay off of it. If it is that you're curious and you're into it and you use it as an educational tool, or you just enjoy watching it, and
Right.
once you do it respectfully, nothing is wrong with that.
All right. Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, I have to thank you all for being open tonight and coming out and discussing what is considered, yes, still in 2020, still considered a taboo topic. I'm really interested to hear the comments on this one from both the gents and the ladies. Pornography, is it healthy in a relationship? We underscored communication. So we won't keep it close. We are open. Feel free to put your comments down below. Don't forget to like, follow, and share the content. And let's keep it going.